Okay, so good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the webinar on accommodation at the University of Liverpool. So we're here until about 5:30 UK time, just to explain the format of the session and some housekeeping guidance. So my colleague Katie will be delivering the session to you today. This session is being recorded here on Zoom webinar, and it will be available to you in follow-up communications you'll receive after this event. We have staff from the University of Liverpool answering your questions via the Q&A or question and answer function on Zoom, which you can access via the icon in your tray in your Zoom window. Colleagues from the accommodation team, student recruitment and inquiries teams will be present throughout the session in the Q&A function. You can submit any questions or comments you'd like answering in there, and our staff will then type responses to your questions directly into the Q&A. In the chat function, our Liverpool staff will post useful links for you to follow, so please do make sure to check back on the chat throughout the session. Towards the end of the session as well, we'll hold a live Q&A with some common themes as well. So I won't take any more time up, so I'll hand over to my colleague, Katie.
Thanks, Jamie. Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining us today for our accommodation webinar. So I'm going to do a short presentation for you first and hopefully answer loads of your questions for you. Once the presentation is completed, then we'll have the Q&A session opened, as Jamie just said. I just ask you to hold your questions until after the presentation is finished, as we're going to talk about quite a few different areas of accommodation. So we're going to start by looking at why you choose to come and live with us, look at where our locations are, the sort of difference between campus and off campus. We'll move on then to an overview of our halls, so you can kind of get to know each individual hall and see which one maybe suits you. We'll then go through a quick section on how to apply, just the practical tips on actually how to put your application into us, and then when you actually hear back from us about your offer of accommodation, and then moving on to everything that you can expect to be a part of when you arrive. And we'll sort of touch on a little bit about COVID as well and sort of how that's changed the way that we're doing our activities and events, but still quite a fun place to live. So starting with why you choose us, I mean, Liverpool is an amazing city to be a part of. It's such a wonderful place for students. You're one of 4 universities here, so there's a real sort of student community in the city. Obviously, it's changed slightly in the last year, but we'll talk about that in a bit more detail kind of going forward. So looking first of all at where our accommodation is situated within the city and within the campus. So to the left of your screen, you'll see our city campus, where you'll see Crown, Melville, Vine and Philharmonic. This shows you where all of our on-campus accommodation is within the city centre. So you're only walking distance from the city centre at that if you live in any of those halls, so it's quite a nice area to live. And then on the right hand side of the screen, you'll see the pin where we have Greenbank Student Village. This is situated in beautiful parkland, as you'll see shortly when I show you some photos, and also right in with other 2nd and 3rd year students who move out of the city and into kind of traditional student accommodation in shared houses. That's what all of those blue dots represent. So it's a real sort of student community out in that side of the city. So having a closer look at the city campus, so you can see on the screen here the aerial shot of the campus with Philharmonic Court on the left-hand side of the screen, Vine Court just down towards the bottom along with Melville Grove, and then Crown Place over to the right. All of that space in between Philharmonic and Crown Place is our city campus, and to put it into perspective, if you walked from Philharmonic all the way through to Crown Place, it's going to take you about 10 to 12 minutes. So it's quite a small, compact campus, and it's a nice place to work, to live and study. The yellow arrow on the right hand side of the screen represents where the city centre is. So if you're walking down from campus, you're looking at around about a 10-minute walk down to the city centre. So again, a nice convenient location to live and study. Then looking at the aerial shot of Greenbank, like I said, it's properly situated within beautiful parkland. It's a really gorgeous place, and you can kind of guess where it got its name Greenbank from. Greenbank is split into 3 different properties. So you have towards the back, you have Roscoe, over to the right, you have Derby and Rathbone, and then you have at the bottom, Derby Old Court. So Roscoe, Derby and Rathbone were newly built over the last couple of years, and they're beautiful ensuite accommodation, as you can see, situated in beautiful surroundings. Derby Old Court is slightly different. It has been fully refurbished, so it is the same spec as Roscoe and Derby and Rathbone, but is actually a listed building. So every room is a slightly different shape, which adds to its character. And you can see on the screen there, you've actually got your own kind of secret garden area as well. So it's a really beautiful situation to sort of live in. Towards the top of the screen, you can see a red dot, and that represents where our campus is. So it's not that far away, it's about 2.5 miles. You have a dedicated bus that takes you in and out from campus, and it runs every 10 minutes from 8 a.m. to 11 p.m. at night. You can get a discounted bus pass to get you in and out that you can secure through the guild, and that works throughout the city as well. So you're not just sort of restricted to using it on the 699, you can use it anywhere within the city. And you also get across to places like Manchester and Chester as well if you wanted to travel and explore the area a bit too, so it's well worth investing in. The blue and red dots towards the top right of the screen represent again where those student populated areas are. So you can see that Greenbank is in a really heavily populated student area, and there's loads of sort of nightlife and bars and restaurants and that keep you entertained up through that area without having to go into town constantly. So looking at what we provide in terms of support in our accommodation, now this has obviously changed in the last year with the pandemic that's been happening. However, our support has sort of remained quite similar in that we have a really strong network to support you guys in the halls, and that's both living within the halls and also in the wider university. So living in your halls with you, you have hall wardens and residential advisors who are senior academic member of staff and also postgraduate students who are there on hand to support you overnight on call with any issues that you may have, whether it's the fact that you're feeling maybe a little bit homesick or whether it's sort of a health and safety issue that you come across. They're there to support you, and they are fully trained to be able to do that. In relation to the pandemic, they've also been offering out regular online check-in chats. So every sort of week to 2 weeks, they've been getting in touch with their student cohort to see how they're doing via Zoom. They've been setting up little activities and events for their groups of students to do to make sure that everyone's still sort of feeling included and engaged whilst being a bit more isolated than you would be in a normal year. In addition to that, we also have 24-hour receptions at all of our halls, and these are run by an overnight security team to make sure that the site is safe and secure and that students are supported throughout the night. In the wider university, we have an amazing advice and guidance team. These provide everything from online mindfulness courses to counselling support to financial support. So there's something out there for any sort of area that you might need assistance with. And this is also then backed up with our campus support team, who are a wider security team who work throughout the university, including Greenbank Student Village, to make the whole space safe and secure, whether you're walking around campus or in your halls. They're there to make sure that you are safe and secure throughout your time with us in the university. So then looking at the accommodation that we offer, as you can see from the screen, we offer literally everything that you can think of. So we have some catered accommodation as well as self-catered. The majority of our accommodation is now en suite, but we do still have some shared bathrooms that I'll tell you about in more detail shortly. There is a choice of bed sizes. We have singles, 3/4, doubles. We've even got a couple of bunk beds if that's what you're interested in. So there is something for everybody. We have got shared kitchen accommodation where you share with other students. And for those of you who want to be a bit more independent, we have some studios available where you have your own personal sort of kitchen and living areas. The great news is with our accommodation at Liverpool is that everything is modern, safe and secure. We have invested heavily into our properties over the last few years, and everything is either newly built within the last 5 to 6 years or has been fully refurbished to a really high standard. So no matter where you are in our accommodation, you know you've got a great quality and a great team there to look after you. As well as this, we have an amazing student experience team who are there exclusively to set up activities and events for you, and they really sort of promote that kind of community feel throughout all of our properties. In addition to this, we also have a number of priority rooms in a choice of locations. So if this is something that you're going to require from us, if you have any sort of specific requirements or adjustments that you might need, then please get in touch with the accommodation team on the Q&As, and we can arrange for one of them to contact you in the next few days to actually discuss your requirements and see how we can help you with those. So moving on now to a bit more in-depth information on our halls. So we have 5 properties for our first year students to go into. So we're going to start by having a look at Greenbank Student Village. So as you saw on the map earlier, Greenbank is named very much because it is in the middle of parkland and it's such a stunning place to live. It is newly built in the last couple of years and it is fully en-suite accommodation. The majority of it is cluster flats, so you'll be sharing with 5 to 7 other students. And the great news about Greenbank is that we built it based on feedback from other students. So we've made it as sort of student friendly as we possibly can do. So we've got loads of really great meeting spaces. So we have really nice big kitchen and living areas within the cluster flats. We've got some amazing common rooms for you to use. We have games rooms with like the pool tables and the ping pong. We've got gaming areas. We have a online library. So it's not your normal library. It is basically a computer suite where you can go and study and work and have access to all of the online provisions that the library provide. Not only that, if you are into your sports or interested in a sort of healthy and fit lifestyle, you have a gym pass included for the on-site Greenbank gym as well. In addition to that, we also have some sports pitches and a dance studio there as well. And outside of COVID, we run regular sporting events. So we have sort of 5-a-side teams set up. We have dance instructors come in and do sort of things like club-a-size. So it's a really great place to live. Your options for getting in and out of campus are that you can sign up to the bus pass with the Guild to get that discounted price, and that will take you about 15 to 20 minutes to get in, depending on your traffic in and out of the city. Or we also promote that you can cycle in and out of the campus as well. So this will probably take you the same sort of time as the bus. It will take you about 15 to 20 minutes. And it's a really nice, gentle route to take. You actually have to go through 2 parks to get to the campus. So it's a nice, safe route with not much sort of interaction on kind of busy main roads. So then moving on to campus and looking at our larger accommodation offers on campus. First and foremost, we have Crown Place, which if you ever do come to Liverpool, you cannot miss as you come in. It's the big orange and yellow building that you see as you come into Liverpool itself. And it's a really sort of lovely place to live. So it's our largest on campus property. All fully en suite. It was built in 2015, I think it opened. And again, it's been created with students in mind. So it's a mix of cluster flats and studios with some really good sort of living and shared areas that you can have access to. We've got games areas and pool tables. And it's just a really nice property. So it's well worth having a look at in more detail on our YouTube channel, where we have breakdowns of all the different room types that we have available across all of the halls. So well worth having a nose over there. Vine Court then is one of our oldest properties now, at the ripe old age of 8 years old. It's also our only offer for catered accommodation. So if that's something that you're interested in, Vine Court is definitely the place for you. The catered option includes your breakfast and your evening meals in the cost of your accommodation. So it's great if you're looking to budget or make sure that you sort of know exactly what kind of disposable income you have left at the end of your sort of fees to know what you've got to spend and just help you get that budgeting sorted. Again, it's all fully en suite, a mixture of cluster flats and studios, and again, loads of great social space and communal areas for you to use. So again, things like pool tables, ping pong. We've even got a foosball table at Vine Court, which is very exciting. So a really nice property to have a look at. Moving on to some of our smaller properties that we have. So Philharmonic Court is, again, about 5 years old, fully en suite, and is a really lovely smaller property if you're looking for that sort of community feel that you can get from some of the smaller properties. So again, it's a mixture of cluster flats and studios. One of the massive benefits of Philharmonic Court is its little courtyard that it's got within the building. So on that top photo that you can see of it there, all of that courtyard is exclusively yours as living in there, because it is all kind of secluded in the inside of the building, which is really lovely. It's also located just on the edge of campus and right in the heart of the cultural district. So if you're interested in theatre or sort of museums and a bit more cultural, then it's definitely a property for you to have a look at, because you're literally a stone's throw away from some really exciting places in Liverpool. Then Melville Grove is our non-ensuite option, so it is our shared bathroom. So that seems to put quite a lot of people off, but I really want to reassure you that it's not as bad as you think it is, and actually it's one of our most popular halls for first year students. It's a really cute place. They're all little houses that have been fully refurbished to a really high standard, and you share a bathroom between 2 to 3 people. So it's no different really to living at home, and actually what's even better than living at home is that we have a team of cleaners who go in and keep those bathrooms nice and clean for you, and we'll even replenish your toilet roll, so there's no sort of arguments around who's used the last of it. It's always a nice little backup for you. So it's definitely worth having a look at. It's also one of our more affordable options as well. And if you have a look on our room types on the YouTube channel, you'll see just how lovely it is. It's a really nice little property to be a part of. In addition to our accommodation that we have, we also work with a couple of private providers to make sure that all students who apply to us later on in the cycle or come through clearing are also supported in accommodation options. So the two that we work with are Kaplan and Student Roost, and both of them have some really good quality and good priced accommodation that's walking distance from the university. So now looking at how to apply. So for all undergraduate students, you're guaranteed accommodation with us if you apply before the 31st of July, and this will either be in our university halls or with our preferred providers, which are Kaplan and Student Roost. If you are a firm choice unconditional offer holder, then your offer for accommodation will be sent as soon as your application has been received. So this is normally within 7 days of you sending that application to us, you'll have an offer for accommodation with us. If you are a conditional offer holder, the offer is sent following the exam results, which are in mid-August, and following that point, you'll have 24 hours to accept your offer. It's really important that you apply for accommodation as soon as you can. So as soon as you've had your offer letter from the university, you're able to apply for accommodation. And this is important because we allocate in a first come, first served. So the earlier you apply with us, the more likely you are to get one of your preferences of accommodation, which we'll come to shortly. If you are thinking about putting us as an insurance or clearing choice, then still apply for accommodation. The great news is at Liverpool is that you don't have until you've chosen us as your firm choice or insurance choice. If you have received an offer to study with the University of Liverpool through UCAS, you are able to apply for accommodation, and then we'll filter out your applications at a later date. So make sure you get your applications into us as soon as you get your offer to study at the university. So applying for accommodation is really easy and straightforward. So on your offer to study letter, you will have a student ID number. So it's a 9-digit number that starts with a 20, and you'll need this as well as your PIN number, which you can find in your registration email to log into Liverpool Life. Don't worry if you can't find your PIN number. You can see towards the bottom of the screen, there's a section called Forgotten Your PIN. You can click on that link and a new PIN will be sent out to you normally within 24 hours. Once you're in, we'll ask you for some information which we can use to help allocate you to the best room type for you. So we want to know if you have any sort of medical requirements or reasonable adjustments for your room. And we highlight here that it's really important to tell us as much information as you can do so that we can make sure that we get the best allocation for you that sort of suits your needs. We also ask you a bit around sort of dietary requirements if you're looking into catered, and also some sort of lifestyle choices as well. Once you've filled out that information for us, you'll also be able to choose your room preferences. So this is where you can choose 3 preferences for your accommodation. They are preferences, they are not guaranteed, but we do try our best to get you something as close to you want as possible. And this is again why it's so important to apply for accommodation as soon as you can. What I would recommend to you when you decide where you want to live is don't fixate on a specific hall. Instead, look at a room type that sits within your budget and then choose that across the board. Because as I mentioned, all of our accommodation is so nice and new and to a really high standard. It doesn't matter in terms of quality, sort of where you stay, because it is also lovely and the teams are amazing throughout the building. So no matter where you live, you'll have an amazing experience with us. So look more towards your budget rather than getting sort of your hopes up for a specific hall. So then once you have applied for accommodation, you just need to sit back and wait for us to send you out an offer. And the great news is for 2021 that once you have applied and you've received an offer from us, you no longer have to pay a deposit for your accommodation. So all you need to do to accept your offer with us is click on the link in the email that you'll get from us with your offer, go back onto Liverpool Life and accept by typing in your student ID and your date of birth and hitting accept. What we do recommend at this point is before accepting your offer is reading through your terms and conditions, because you are signing up to a tenancy agreement and it is a legally binding contract. So it's really important that you know what you're signing up to before you press accept. So then in terms of accommodation fees, you'll be able to see our fees on our website. So if you head over to liverpool.ac.uk/accommodation or follow the link that is in the Q&A section, you'll be able to see the accommodation fees for 2021. You have options when it comes to paying, so you can either pay in full by the 1st of October, or you can pay in 3 equal instalments that fall in October, January and April, and usually fall a few days after your student loans are due to go into your account. So we make sure that you have that sort of money in your account ready to go for your bank automatically on the days that are specified. We also, as well, we're really pleased to offer the accommodation discounts. So this is for students who are in receipt of the awards on the screen below. So this is where we will give you an £800 discount off your accommodation fees in order to support people on those particular bursaries. So if you think that you are going to be in receipt of this, then by all means get in touch with the team and we can talk about this with you in more detail. And then finally, just having a quick look through what experiences there are available for you guys. So obviously it's been a slightly different year this year in terms of the pandemic. However, that has not stopped our students having an amazing time living with us. We're in quite a unique opportunity where, although isolation has been an issue because you're living in cluster flats with us for the most part, you have a group of students around you at all times. So you've got a really great friendship group. And so that means we can put on activities for flats and for studios who kind of bubble up with each other and make sure that people are still able to get involved and also get some engagement. So as you can see in these photos, there have been a huge amount of food activity packs going on, from pizzas to mezes to pasta kits and all sorts going on. There's been cake decoration and making. Obviously Halloween featured quite heavily. We had an enormous delivery of pumpkins to campus. I think we ordered about 1,500, which was a very interesting delivery to pick up. And we've had things like tie-dye for t-shirts, we've had mugs, mug decoration, we've had create your own portraits sort of activities going on, and they've been so well received by students. They've really enjoyed getting involved. If you want to see any of the activities that we've done over the last couple of semesters, then if you head over to Instagram and look up Live Uni Halls, that is our Instagram account, and you'll see loads of updates throughout the week on there of all of the different activities that our students get involved in. In a normal year, we usually kick off with a round of halls formals, which is where everybody gets the opportunity to dress up and go and have a formal 3-course dinner and an evening of partying, and they're great fun. We can't wait to get them back on schedule, so we're really hoping that we can get these back up and running because they're such an amazing event for everyone to be involved in. As well as that, we'll do trips out all over the place. So we have trips out to things like paintballing and to Chester Zoo and loads of other little opportunities going on all over the place. And as well as that, we have some really sort of smaller events and activities that happen. So things like we offer revision support. One of our all-time favourite events is therapy dogs. So we get therapy dogs who are in training come out to the halls and come and meet the students, so you can go and cuddle your puppy, because we all know that students miss their dogs more than they miss their families for the most part. We also as well have opportunities for you guys to get involved. So the events and activities that we run are in conjunction with what you guys want, and this is through the Hall's social committee. You can sign up to be a rep and you have control with the committee over a budget that you get to choose how you spend it. So we've had some amazing events in the past, and these this year have been involved in what activities and what sort of activity packs we've put together in the halls over the last few weeks as well. We also have other ways that you can work for us. So we, on a normal year, we have open day helpers who come and actually show their rooms to other prospective students. Obviously, that's changed slightly at the moment. However, we've still got those sorts of opportunities because throughout our COVID support, we've been offering isolation packs, which are filled with food and other sort of supplies that people may need when they're isolating. We've also had the activity packs being delivered to halls, and we've used our students to support us with that activity. So we really encourage anyone who lives in our halls to get in touch with us if they're sort of looking for some work opportunities, and it's a great thing to put on your CV. We also get really involved in sports and sustainability as well, and we have some great links with both the Sports Centre and also with the Green Guild. So things like the student switch off and the swap shop, so things like upcycling clothes or sort of rehoming them, as well as doing competitions around who can recycle the most, and also which halls use the least energy over a sort of certain period of time. So yeah, so loads of bits and bobs that you can get involved with. So that is it for this presentation. So thank you very much for listening. I can see that the Q&As are coming in thick and fast, so keep those coming in, and myself and Jamie will go through some of the sort of themed questions and try and answer those live for you over the next few minutes. And we're going to look to wrap up at about 5:30.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Katie. That was absolutely brilliant. So thank you for all that information, and hopefully you enjoyed that, viewers, as well. Now, to say the Q&A is coming in thick and fast is an understatement. We've got so many questions. So what we're going to do, viewers, is we're going to pick out some common themes, and our team will also ping some over to me at the same time to ask to Katie, if that's okay. So I've got quite a few on this highly technical pad and paper, a pad and pen, sorry. So first of all, Katie, can you just remind us quickly how the students can get a student bus pass? And where it can take you, so where do the buses go?
Yep, so the bus pass can be attained from the Guild, so you pick it up once you've actually arrived into your accommodation from the Guild. And the reason for that is because they actually get you a discount, so it's about a £60 to £70 discount over the normal cost. So that's where you get it from. And then in terms of where it takes you from, outside of the normal route from Greenbank to campus, you can use it across the city because it's an Arriva bus pass, so you can use it on any Arriva service, and you can also use it throughout the northwest too. So if you wanted to go and explore the likes of Manchester or Chester, or want to go to the Wirral to go and see what's over there, you can use it on a lot of different bus routes around the region.
Brilliant, thank you. Viewers, forgive me if you hear any banging in the background. There's some DIY happening in my house, so please do forgive any noise you hear in the background. We've had another one as well. So in terms of car parking, so what would you recommend in terms of students who might want to bring their car with them to the university?
Yeah, so we don't really recommend that you bring a car with you, to be honest, because especially in our city halls, you're so close to everything, you don't need a car to get around. You can sort of walk in and out of where you need to go. If you do have any specific requirements and need a car, maybe you have sort of some carer responsibilities, or you maybe have some placements, then we do have some really limited parking available at Melville Grove, which we can issue out sort of on a first come first served basis for those people who really require it. Outside of that, if you did want to bring your car with you, then the other option is Greenbank Student Village. We do have a few spaces available there for you as well. Definitely wouldn't recommend, though, if you were looking to bring your car to commute in and out of campus, because car parking on campus is very limited, and so you might not be able to get space, which is why we look after you with the buses being so regular, and we make sure that you get the discount on your bus pass.
Great, thank you, Katie. So I've got a couple of questions about applying so applications to accommodation. So first of all, if someone submitted their application for accommodation, can they withdraw it?
So yes, yeah, you can do. So we work really flexibly, and especially at the moment with the pandemic, with all the uncertainty that is around it, we are super flexible with you guys. So all you need to do, if you want to either cancel your application, or you want to change your accommodation options or your preferences, just email the team at accommodation@liverpool.ac.uk, and we will be able to talk you through that process. I also forgot to mention that we set this up last year, and we're going to continue this year because of the uncertainty. If you end up not coming to Liverpool, or you decide that you want to sort of study from home, then there is no penalty in terms of being released from your contract. So long as you don't arrive, we will not charge you for accommodation.
I'm glad you mentioned that, Katie, because that was quite a common question coming through. So hopefully everyone's got that one. So thank you ever so much for that. So in terms of when you're allocating accommodation, so with students allocated to particular halls and particular flats, can students kind of request a particular type of flat, such as a same-sex flat, if they need to?
Yep, so that's all on the application question. So yes, especially if you want in single sex accommodation, if you highlight that section on the details that we ask you for as part of the application, we'll then work through that and make sure that we offer you accommodation that's sort of within your preferences. That we do make sure that we adhere to. It's really important to stress that the preferences for accommodation, your top 3 preferences, we will try our very best to match, but it's not always possible.
Perfect, thank you. And does the university have any on-campus or nearby faith facilities?
Good question. I believe it does, and I think the route for it is through the guild. I think that is a question that we'll need to double check and come back to you.
Okay, no problem. Thanks, Katie. So someone has actually asked a good question here. So do I only apply for accommodation once I've accepted my offers? And also someone's kind of on the back of that said, is it the earlier the better in terms of applying to get your preferences?
Yep, so you can apply for accommodation as soon as you've received your offer to study at the university. So once you have that offer to study, you can then apply, and then, yeah, the earlier you get your application to us, the better, because we do it in date order. So the first come, first served, essentially. So yeah, so the sooner that you can apply, the better. As soon as you've got your offer to study, you can get that into us.
Just about to ask you that. So when do students actually submit their application? So yeah, just after you've got your offer from the university. Fantastic. Okay, just working my way through them here. So keep them coming, viewers. They are coming in thick and fast, so keep them coming. Is there somewhere for students to find out what they might need to bring to the accommodation with them? Like top things, like items like pots and pans?
Yeah, we do indeed. I mean, that is very eager considering we're in February. So we normally release that information a bit closer to the time. But yes, if you keep a check on our Instagram and Facebook pages, you'll see links through to articles where we tell you what you should and shouldn't bring with you and what we kind of include and what we don't include. So those normally start coming out around about July. So if you get yourself signed up to at Liverpool Uni Halls on Facebook and Instagram, you'll be able to keep up to date with all of those.
Absolutely, and viewers, I've popped some of those links in the chat, so to the accommodation website and also the Instagram page. So please do check those out. The pictures that Katie showed at the end, they are fantastic. It's a brilliant feed to follow, and I feel very jealous. I do kind of want to go back to back to uni. And I agree that sometimes, I don't know if you found this with students, Katie, is that when I went to uni, I took way too much stuff with me when I went into my halls. I took like a shoe rack, I took like a bread slicer thing. You don't need it, you know. It's good to visit that link and have a look. So someone's asked a really good question in terms of uni accommodation and private accommodation. So can I apply for both university and private accommodation and then decide which one to go to later on?
So that is something that I wouldn't recommend that you do, because as much as we're flexible and we wouldn't charge you for accommodation if you don't arrive, the private sector will. So it's really important to realise that when you're signing up to a room, when you're booking a room with a private provider, you are signing up to a legal tenancy agreement. So normally there is a 7-day calling off period once you apply for that room and once you've accepted your terms and conditions. Outside of that 7 days, you will then be liable for the rent for that room for the duration of your contract. So that's even if you signed up to a private sector contract today and it wasn't due to start until maybe like the 10th of September, you would only have your 7 days calling off period, and then after that you'd be liable for the rent for the duration of your period. So we definitely wouldn't recommend that. And also for first years, we would definitely recommend that you come into university accommodation, because we have got so much support available for you to make sure that you have the sort of best experience you can do throughout your first year of uni.
Brilliant. Thanks, Katie. So viewers, if you see me looking off to the left, I'm just looking for the Q&A with our team. I've had someone ask, actually quite a common question. If I'm applying for deferred entry, when should I apply for my accommodation?
So if you're applying for deferred entry, then you will need to apply for the cycle that you are looking to come. So if you're deferring for 2021, so you'll be arriving into accommodation 2022, then the portal will open around about October 2021 for you to be able to apply. So if you keep an eye out on Liverpool Life from October and get your application in at that point, then you'll be near enough guaranteed whatever you want, because we'll only have deferred entries applying for accommodation at that point.
Great, thanks, Katie. This is a really popular question that a lot of people ask in here. So which is usually the most popular halls, especially for first year students?
We get asked this question all the time, and there's no answer for it. It's just every single hall is amazing. Like, it's such a shame this year that we're not able to get people onto campus to come and look at our accommodation and just see how great it is, because we've invested so much into it over the past decade. It's incredible. It's so different to what we've sort of ever been able to offer before, and it's really nice. So I would say that the way of looking at it is sort of what it is that you want to get out of it. So if you want that sort of real kind of traditional first year experience of living exclusively with first year students, having that real kind of like university feel, then probably Greenbank is the place for you, because it is our only hall that is exclusively for first year students. If you're looking for actually being a part of a community, maybe feeling a bit more close-knit, then look at one of our smaller halls, maybe have a look at Philharmonic or maybe Melville or Vine. But yeah, it's entirely up to you, really. It's every single hall is pretty similar in terms of its quality, and no matter where you live, the students really enjoy living there, so you'll have a good time no matter what.
Definitely. We've had an excellent question here from an inquirer. What part of the accommodation blocks are cleaned by the university services or accommodation services?
So we will clean your communal areas, so your kitchens and living areas, and we do that roughly around once a week, depending on the area that you're in. If you're in shared bathroom accommodation, we also clean your bathrooms for you about twice a week as well, make sure that they're replenished with any sort of toilet roll and things like that. Your bedroom area is your responsibility to keep clean, so we don't send our cleaners in there. But yeah, we keep on top of all the communal areas for you.
Brilliant. Thank you, Katie. So we've still got quite a few questions about when I should apply. So students can apply before they choose their firm and insurance, can't they?
Yep, so the portal to apply is open, so you can apply if you've had your offer to study. So say you got your offer already, you can go straight onto Liverpool Life this evening and apply for accommodation. So it's open from now, and it will continue to be open throughout the rest of the year for you to be able to apply, but definitely get your applications in now. And it doesn't matter if you have not yet decided that you're going to be coming to the university as a sort of family or insurance choice student. Just take the 5 minutes and get your application in, because then you know it's done.
Definitely. And in terms of if a student places Liverpool as their insurance choice, do they still have that accommodation guarantee?
So the guarantee isn't in place for insurance choice students. However, the last couple of years, we have extended the accommodation guarantee to incorporate any insurance choice and clearing choice students. And this is actually why we work with a couple of private providers as well, to make sure that we do have that offer for any student coming in. So it's not technically guaranteed, but we will still make sure you've got accommodation.
Brilliant. So in terms of students who might be applying with friends or with partners, is this available at the uni?
We have a very limited amount of coupled accommodation or family accommodation available, but it is very limited, and it is only really for a sort of significant other, and we don't really have any family accommodation. But we do work in conjunction with Liverpool Student Homes, so they are a not-for-profit organisation within Liverpool, and they are exclusively there to support students in the city to find them good quality accommodation. And they do have some links to a number of different sort of landlords and private providers, and they'll be your best option if you are looking for sort of family or shared accommodation.
Definitely. Thanks, Katie. So in terms of tenancy lengths or tenancy periods, so what are the kind of tenancy periods of the university accommodation? Could you just remind us, please?
Yep, so for first years, you'll be signed up to a 39-week tenancy agreement. So that roughly goes from, I think it's the 18th of September for 39 weeks, so it's until about mid-June. If you check out our fees page on the website and check out all of our accommodation prices, you'll then see all of the tenancy lengths within that document.
Awesome, thank you. So when we're back in normal time, so we're all back on campus, so hopefully as soon as possible. So what are kind of the rules around students who might want to have visitors come visit them?
So at the moment, it is entirely based on government guidance. We're obviously having to adhere to the sort of different parameters that are in place at the moment. So currently, if you are living in a household, you're not allowed to have visitors unless you are on a single household. So say you're living in a studio, then you would be able to set up a bubble. In a normal year, say those restrictions are lifted, then you are able to have visitors on site, and you can even have them stay over with you for a couple of nights. But we ask that it's really 2 nights maximum, and that you make sure that your other flatmates are happy with your guests to sort of stay over. And we also just ask that you sign them in at reception, so we know who's on site in terms of if there's sort of any emergency situations that we might need to know who's on site.
Fantastic, thank you, Katie. Okay, viewers, you've got many questions coming in. I'm just trying to keep up with them here. If you just have a look in the chat as well, if you want to visit those links, do visit the websites and the Instagram page as well, especially the Instagram page is fantastic, as I said. So again, so in terms of, so how are students kind of allocated to their flats and their accommodation blocks?
So like I said, we do it first come, first served. So the earlier you apply, the more likely you are to get one of the preferences. And then in terms of allocating, we make sure that we put all first years together. So you'll always be in flats with other students of the same cohort as you. So first years living with first years. In terms of courses, we do it completely randomly because we don't want to put people who are sort of in courses together, because we want to widen that kind of friendship circle that you can have as far as we possibly can. So we do that quite randomly, but we obviously take into account any preferences that you put onto your application, especially when it comes to things like if you wanted sort of a single gender area, or you had sort of asked for sort of catered accommodation or anything like that. We'll sort of take that into account as well.
Wonderful, thank you. So I had another really good, really practical question actually here. So how close are the nearest shops to the accommodation on campus?
Well, so that literally walking distance. So I'm not even like minutes away, like seconds away. So Vine Court, for example, has a Tesco's literally opposite it. So I think it takes you about 20 seconds to cross the road and get there. Crown Place again has got access to all of the different sort of shops that are available on campus. So yeah, so there's plenty of like things like the kind of like Tesco Metros and sort of Sainsbury's locals, all within like sort of walking distance from the halls. In terms of larger sort of supermarkets available for you, then they're for the city centre, they're sort of walking distance, probably about 5 to 10 minutes away. And then for Greenbank as well, they're just around the corner, so literally about a 10-minute walk. And then main shops, so if you're looking at your actual sort of like city centre kind of high street shops, then the city centre from the city campus is not even sort of a sort of 10-15-minute walk. So quite a few options around.
Definitely. And viewers, she isn't joking. She isn't just being colloquial. Literally, when we used to work on campus, just step out of Vine Court, turn left, and the Tesco is right there. So super easy. So yeah, literally minutes away. So you don't need to worry about your shopping. So in terms of the offer for accommodation, so how long is it valid before you need to accept it?
So it depends what time of the year that you get your offer. So if you are an unconditional offer holder, we usually set that at you have about 7 days to be able to accept that from us. So that's your sort of standard time for the unconditional offers. If you are a conditional offer holder and you get your offer of accommodation following the exam results in August, then we actually give you about 24 hours to accept, but we give you plenty of notice, so you know when it's going to be coming. We sort of give you loads of sort of communication before that, so you're prepared for it and know what you're sort of waiting for.
Great, thank you. A very practical one as well. Is there a nearby pharmacy to the university halls?
Yeah, so actually one of the retail spaces in Vine Court is a pharmacy. So if you live in Vine Court, it's downstairs. And that Vine Court, if you're living anywhere else on campus, you're looking no more than a sort of like probably 3 to 10 minute walk away, depending on which hall you're in. So yeah, so that's the closest one. And then there's plenty of other sort of pharmacies down in town and also sort of around other areas.
Sure. Thank you, Katie. So I'm keeping looking through here. How close is the accommodation to the University Sports Centre? Again, it might be a similar answer to the shops.
Well, the Sports Centre is near enough smack bang in the middle of campus. So if you're in city accommodation, then you're pretty much no more than like a 2 to 3 minute walk away from it. For Greenbank, you've got your own gym included in the cost of the accommodation. It's actually in Greenbank, so that's right on your doorstep again as well.
Brilliant. That's great. Yeah, so everything literally within walking distance, viewers on campus. So we're just having a look through here. Again, thank you ever so much for your attendance, for your questions. It's been absolutely brilliant. I'm glad that you mentioned, Katie, as well about the budgeting and the student finance aspect to it, because obviously it might be one of the biggest expenses when you come to university, considering accommodation. So I think we always do recommend that when you've figured out how much student finance you can get, prioritize accommodation first. Would you agree?
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely worth looking at your budget. And so that's why we've made sure that all of the accommodation fees are on the website so that you can sort of properly go through and kind of check again sort of each different room type that we have. And then, yeah, like I said, when you're sort of choosing your preferences, choose a budget type that, or the budget that kind of like fits your needs. Because then when we are allocating, say that we are unable to offer you any of your sort of your preferences that you've chosen, any of your free preferences, if we can see that you've really sort of identified a clear kind of budget, we'll then make sure that we offer you the next best available room to like closest to that sort of price point, because we want to obviously make sure that whatever we do offer you is within your budget, because we want you to be able to enjoy yourself while you're here.
Definitely. It's always something we should prioritize for students. And yeah, so another practical question here, a good one. So how close is the medical centre or doctors to the university campus?
Well, we actually have doctors' surgeries as part of our campus. So we work with the Brownlow Health Group. So the closest one to our accommodation, I feel like I just keep on saying 2 to 3 minutes for everything, but it is genuinely 2 to 3 minutes. So especially if you live over in Crown Place, it is literally about a 3-minute walk away from the doctors. If you're living over in Vine or Philharmonic, you're probably looking at about a 10-minute walk.
Brilliant. Thanks, Katie. So suddenly, I've just mentioned the word student finance, and now they've all come flooded in with student finance questions. So just to remind you, students, that we are actually having a student finance webinar next Thursday. You would have received it on your reminder email, but feel free to register that, and we'll give you all the nuts and bolts on student finance next Thursday. So feel free to come to that. As well. I've also just noticed that Kieran, my colleague Kieran, has posted in the chat the link to the bus pass information page through the Guild. So if you're thinking about getting the bus pass, feel free to visit that link in the chat, and has all the information you need, including prices and all that info for you there. So we've had quite a few questions, Katie, from people trying to figure out how close their accommodation is to each subject. I think you said in your talk that you just need to prioritize the best type of room for you rather than your subject.
Yeah, because our accommodation is either on campus or at Greenbank, so you can get the bus in and out. The campus it's a small campus. You're not going to be very far away at all from your sort of lectures or anything. So don't worry about being particularly close to where your lectures are. And the other thing is as well is that although sort of specific schools have got kind of specific buildings, actually your lectures could take place anywhere on campus. So you're not necessarily going to be actually close to where you want to be. But to, like when I showed that sort of aerial view of the city, to walk from one end of the campus to the other, it takes about 10 to 12 minutes. So it's a nice small campus. So I wouldn't put too much sort of focus on living directly next to sort of your school.
Definitely. And someone's asked a really good question in terms of, so if they live off campus or in an independent accommodation, so private accommodation, will this kind of hinder their social life or social activities at the uni?
Not if you live with our preferred providers, with Kaplan and Student Roost, because we have a deal with them to make sure that you are treated as though you were in our accommodation. So you'll be living with other first year University of Liverpool students, and you'll also be on the same sort of contract lengths with our students as well, and with some of the same terms and conditions. So things like if you do withdraw from university, you'll be released from your agreements as well. So we make sure that we've kind of got that agreement set up. And because you are treated as though you're living in one of our university halls, we also have events and activities that you can be a part of as well. So no, so your social life will be just the same as though you were living in one of our university-owned accommodations.
Absolutely. So someone's asked about that safety and security on campus. So what kind of like safety and security measures are in place to keep our students safe?
So in the halls, we have some really good safety measures in place. So the majority of well, in fact, all of the halls now are on a fob access system. So rather than having your kind of classic keys, you'll have a card or a fob that can get you in and out of the buildings. And that is from the main door all the way through to then your bedroom door. And you'll only be able to get into the specific area that you need to. So if you're in a different block, you wouldn't be able to get into that. So we've got that sort of set up nice and secure. We've also got CCTV throughout all of the exteriors of the halls, as well as in the lobbies, so that we can identify quickly if there's sort of any suspicious activity going on. As well as that, we have got security presences overnight in all of our accommodation. And for our smaller hall, which is Melville Grove, we also have patrols that happen around that as well to make sure that that's all sort of kept safe and secure. In addition to that, you'll have access to an emergency number that is run by our campus support team. In case you do feel sort of concerned or sort of threatened by anything, you can call them up and they'll be able to respond to you immediately. And across campus as well, one of the amazing services that campus support offer is a chaperone service. So, for example, if you know that you need to go and work in the library late, so you're working on an assignment that's due the next day and you need to then walk back to your accommodation late at night, if you didn't feel comfortable doing that across campus, you could contact campus support, who would then offer you a chaperone back to your accommodation. Also as well, Liverpool is actually one of the safest city centres in Europe, and we've got an amazing sort of police team around as well, and you'll see our sort of campus support police officer sort of in and out of campus as well. So we really try and sort of strive for that kind of safe environment for everybody.
Definitely, absolutely. Also as well, how do students do the laundry? So where do they go to wash the clothes?
Yeah, unfortunately we don't do that for you, but each hall does have its own laundry area for you. So you do need to pay for them. I can't remember the exact price off the top of my head, but it's around about £2.50 for a wash and about £2 for a dry. They're massive sort of laundries as well, like washing machines, and you can fit loads of clothes in there at once, so it works out quite good value. They all, as well, you can download an app for the laundries, which will tell you how many washing machines are free at any time. They'll tell you when your washing is due to be completed as well, so you can just go back down knowing exactly when it's going to be ready for you to go and pick up. So we've got magic washing machines that talk to you as well, which is quite exciting.
I do love the app. I used that app when I was at uni as well, and it's just fantastic because if you fancy doing your washing at like 11 o'clock at night and you don't want to walk out into the cold, at least you know which washers and dryers are free. So yeah, a big plus there. So you get excited over the little things, viewers. Enjoy the little things. Also, we've had a few viewers actually ask Katie if you could nip back to the map slide, please, just to see where the accommodation is,
yeah,
if that's possible.
Now, did they want the city map or the other? Do you want the full map?
I think the full map, please.
Okay.
Oh, all of the above. It'd be nice to recap.
So here you go. So this is Liverpool as a city. So you can see where we've got Crown, Melville, Vine and Philharmonic. You can see that they are all on the outskirts of our campus. That kind of like slightly lighter grey area is sort of highlighting where our campus is. And then all of the roads down past that, so where you can see sort of like Lime Street, Renshaw Street, Bold Street, that is our city centre. So you can kind of see where that is in relation to the rest of the city centre. And then over to the right of the screen is where you've got Greenbank Student Village. You have Sefton Park, which I believe is the park that was used as the design for Central Park in New York, I heard once. I think that's true. And also then the blue dots then show you where the students who move out sort of into more traditional accommodation in their sort of second and third years live as well. So kind of gives you that split. Around that sort of area of Sefton Park and Greenbank Student Village is a really, really nice area. There's some amazing sort of like food and drink places. There's a very famous street called Lark Lane, where you've got kind of loads of sort of activities that go on. They have sort of like open street markets and sort of vintage fairs and things like that, as well as some amazing like restaurants and stuff as well. So there's quite a lot going on in there. And then in terms of distance from Greenbank Student Village to the campus, it's 2.5 miles.
Brilliant. That's really helpful there, Katie. Thank you. And I think we should stress as well that even though a lot of these aerial maps look quite grey, there is a lot of green space in and around Liverpool, isn't there? Especially in the city region, over on the Wirral as well. So you've got Birkenhead Park. I think it was Birkenhead Park that was for Central Park in New York. But yeah, you got that. You've also got Nest Botanic Gardens. So the university has its own botanic gardens as well that you can visit. So it's not all city, all cement or anything like that. It's a beautiful city and lots of green spaces available. Just to remind you viewers, if you don't get your question answered tonight, because we have quite a few, we will be sending these slides out and the recording out after the session's finished in your email as well. We can also signpost you towards the accommodation website and the YouTube if you have any questions for us afterwards as well. There's also the contact details too. So please don't worry if we don't answer your question directly tonight. There will be options for you to ask it afterwards as well. So Katie, is there any 24-hour bus services students can use?
Yes, there are. So the 699 runs from 8 to 11, and then after that, there is the airport service that runs every hour, and that's 24/7, and that runs just down the road from Greenbank. So you get off the bus stop about a 2-minute walk away from Greenbank to be able to get back up from town.
It's good to remind students actually that we actually have an airport. So John Lennon Airport, about 25 minutes away from the campus if you take the taxi. So you can literally travel the world from 25 minutes away from your accommodation block, which I think is amazing. Once safe and secure, it's safe to do so afterwards as well. So I've had quite an interesting question. So if a student begins their studies and joins the university, begins the studies, but then they want to withdraw from studying at the university, what happens then in terms of accommodation?
Yeah, so we will make sure that we release you from accommodation if you either withdraw or you suspend your studies for whatever reason. So we do it with a 28-day notice clause. So once you have it confirmed that you will withdraw, you just drop an email to the team, accommodation@liverpool.ac.uk, and we will then pick that up for you and confirm with your school your withdrawal date and just send you out a final sort of bill for your accommodation. But yeah, we'll release you from your agreement if you do withdraw from uni.
Brilliant. Thank you, Katie. Now then, viewers, what we're going to do, we're just going to wrap it up there because we have run out of time. I've got plenty of questions that we got through there. So again, thank you very much, Katie, for a wonderful presentation there. Just to let you know, viewers, that you will receive follow-up communications with the recording of this session, all the contact details you could need, and some information as well around that too. Katie, just want to wrap it up there as well?
Yeah, well, thank you very much for listening, and I'm really glad that you've sort of asked all of those questions to us, and I hope we've helped to answer some of them. And yeah, if you have any specific questions, like Jamie said, you can contact our team. I think all of the details are in the chat. And also, I'd really recommend going over to our YouTube channel because we've got breakdowns of every single room type and every single hall. So there's a lot of information on there that you can kind of get an idea of exactly where you want to live with us.
Great. Thanks, Katie. Okay, viewers, thank you ever so much. Please feel free to come to our Student Finance and Funding webinar next Thursday at 4:30. Check your emails for your reminder. But other than that, thank you ever so much for coming. Stay safe and we'll see you very soon. Thank you.